Monongahela is a very historic town. It was founded in 1769, sits on the banks of the Monongahela River, and that is a Native American term that means sliding banks. We're one of the oldest towns in the area, and it's one of the reasons, because the town is so historic, that the education system is so important here. Starting in the year 1900, there was a huge population boom happening in the area. So between the years of 1900 and 1925, the number of high school students increased by 1,600%, which is a dramatic increase. And the town couldn't accommodate it. It had students attending schools in basements of elementary schools and even the bank building. And by 1922, the school board purchased the property that would become the Monongahela High School. It's interesting to me because it would be exactly 100 years later whenever CCA would purchase the building. The Monongahela High School was operational until the year 1979. That was the last graduating class from that building. And part of the reason that this evolution occurred is because several communities in the area merged in 1964 and became the Ringgold School District. It became an elementary center from 1980 through 2011. And that year it was no longer used. So it sat empty from 2011 to 2022. And there was a lot of vandalism that occurred inside of the building, and it was just a sad era. So we were so happy that somebody came along who really cares about our community, who purchased the building and is doing something so wonderful with it.
Strata was approached because Strata has a long standing relationship with CCA. We've done other facilities projects for them across the state. One of Strata's specialties is adaptive reuse projects, and so it was a perfect pairing for this particular opportunity. First impressions of the project, to anyone who's been to the site, they've seen the neglect that the building and the site has undergone over the years. And whether it's the deterioration or the graffiti or the vandalism, one could look at it and say, it's an overwhelming opportunity. But to work with CCA, who had the vision to look at this resource and see great potential, was pretty inspiring. And then that allowed us as a team to, kind of take that energy to build on that opportunity and make it, into something real.
So many of us have such fond memories of the Monongahela High School building because of what it represents in our lives, because of the time that we spent there. But what I think is at the core of the fondness for that building is what it represents to us in terms of community. It took the whole community to build the high school, and the community rallied to put together what was the finest school probably in the state at that point in time.
The goal of the project was to basically honor the past while creating something new for the future. And so, taking a historic building and dealing with all the technical challenges that come along with it, that's kind of, part and parcel with these types of projects. But in terms of the community aspect of it, we really wanted to make the building and the project kind of transformative and become something new for the community. Spaces that foster community engagement, spaces that were healthy for the community, spaces that were just interesting and great places to work in. We're going to have new accessible entrances, which are really going to be these great welcoming elements to the building. In addition, there will be new lounge spaces, elevators that connect the floors for the first time. So this will really be, the building will finally be opened up, be accessible, and feel like a new space for all users and all visitors. The auditorium was truly an opportunity to kind of restore and preserve a great historic community space. That will continue to have a new life for community members, community theater groups, in the future, because we're restoring it basically to its, not only its original capacity, but creating some added space off the back so that it can function better than it had historically. On the other side of the building, the gymnasium, that will largely be transformed into a new multi-purpose space, but again, there it will have kind of a new function as a community space. There will be local community events that will be held there, and then there are certain key architectural features like the trusses that are supporting the roof will be exposed with all new services completely exposed and visible throughout. In addition, one of the key features is the bleachers, which had been kind of along one side. Those will be reclad and refinished with, I think, even reusing some of the old gymnasium flooring that had been salvaged.
When we learned what was happening at the school, and we knew that CCA was going to have some office spaces in what was our gymnasium, we found out that part of the floor would be removed and part would be retained. And, for me, what that brings back to mind right away is the 1973 team that won the state championship, and they played on that floor. So we asked CCA if we could possibly have some of the planks, and we have them. And so we are going to see what we can do to repurpose them and maybe even have some souvenir items that people can have, because we all remember being in that gym and hearing the thunderous, applause and the cheers and so forth. And we remember going to pep rallies there in the school. And to know that CCA wants to partner with the community and is making facilities like that available to community groups that want to go in there, it means so much to us.
Most rewarding aspects of the process was working with community members from the Historical Society to find these old photographs. Several of the images that we found are actually going to be incorporated into graphic exhibits that kind of explain the history of Monongahela as well as the site to visitors and to staff and students. So that was, very rewarding, and they'll be there for everyone to enjoy who comes to visit the building.
I think it's fair to say that for a small town, there have been more notable people graduating from our Monongahela High School and then the Ringgold School District than what other small towns could claim. And you can go back to the early days. Jackie Orms was the first African-American woman cartoonist who gained national notoriety. Judge Paul Simmons was the first African-American federal judge in Western Pennsylvania. Jay Chataway is an American composer known probably for the work that he did with Star Trek. And then there's a football player who came from Monongahela by the name of Joe Montana. These are folks that we are so proud of. They're role models. We like to celebrate their lives and their successes. But there are other people in addition to those names. The young men who left high school to go fight in World War II, and they were not here for graduation, and their parents went and got their diplomas for them and gave them to them when they came home. These are people that we consider to be heroes. And also the people who never left Monongahela, who stayed here to run the businesses that create jobs for other people, run the local government, donate to the local groups. These are our heroes just as much as the other folks who went on to achieve fame and fortune. To have an organization that has come in and is restoring this building, it helps to restore our pride in that building and in our hometown. Monongahela, being founded in 1769, had a public school system going back as far as 1854. And there has always been a school in this town up until the elementary center closed in 2011. And it's been sad for us that this is the first time in our history that we've had no school. So Do you know what it means to us, the fact that there's going to be a school in Monongahela again? It means a lot.